This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map tournament decision. Spawning as the orange Scrin in the southwest position, we do have Unleashed. And playing as one of his favorite factions, as he does love Traveler 59, and of course the base faction being Scrin. In the northeast, though, we do have as the green nod, MasterLeaf. So MasterLeaf versus Unleashed. Potentially two of the best Traveler 59 players, at least two of the best Traveler 59 players who are around today. But they're kind of off racing in that this was probably a random v random mirror, and then it ended up Nod versus Scrin. So we do have an engineer going to be coming out from Unleashed, and that particular engineer is going to be heading straight up. Now typically, especially with Scrin, you can just run right through the tib field, around, and go for that spike. So yeah, he is going 3 engineer. So he should be grabbing that tower wherever that engineer ended up going. And MasterLeaf, on the other hand, is going to be grabbing his tib spike a little bit earlier than his opponent. And then after that, he should be grabbing the second one, which actually, it looks like he only went for 1 engineer, at least just for now. And then Unleashed's 3rd engineer should be grabbing that tib tower, or that defensive tower, relatively soon, as he has secured both of his spikes. So Unleashed did actually get his spikes a little bit later, but he did get 2 of them versus just the 1 of MasterLeaf. And MasterLeaf having a little bit of trouble with these buzzers, all of his, pretty much all of his militant squads. It looks like 1 did get through, but the majority of them have been shut down. And on the other hand, Unleashed does have some nice scouting and some nice map presence. Of course, that's not really the map presence that's going to be denying anything, but it will give him some nice scouting information, and the turret will help deny direct attacks. However, it does look like MasterLeaf is heading in with a Raider Buggy Scout, and actually a pretty darn quick expand from MasterLeaf. That is about as fast as you can go. And Unleashed doing the exact same thing. So as you can see, both of these players going for only 2 refineries on their main field. And this field is large enough that some players do like to go for 7 and 3 instead of 5 and 2. And MasterLeaf currently at 4 and 2. Going for that expand relatively quickly. I mean, he didn't even bother throwing down a second power plant, so he has to keep that refinery on that low power mode, or rather powered off, until he gets that second power plant, or at least redeploys his MCV. He might have just enough power with his MCV, but as you can see, he drops down a power plant in the south, and now he is up to that 5 and 2. Actually does go ahead and get an engineer, I'm assuming. Otherwise, that would be an extremely odd thing to call in a barracks for, is without the engineer, considering he hasn't grabbed that second spike. MasterLeaf is going to be losing that additional scouting squad, and maybe losing this guy in the bunker here. And I mean, as you can see, Unleashed, he's going for some seeker tanks, but he does indeed know that there is nothing in the middle of the map. There might actually be a little bit of a dead space there, but that would be kind of hard for MasterLeaf to get any significant number of forces through the middle of the map without being spotted by Unleashed. And it looks like MasterLeaf will be able to secure that kind of southern location and be able to make sure that he holds that. But his militant squads will definitely spot these seeker tanks, and they will be forced to turn around. We do have a second war factory going down for MasterLeaf, and he's pumping out those Scorpion tanks. This is a great response, and actually this was probably happening before he saw the seeker tanks, but he should have enough Scorpion tanks to hold this off. I really doubt that just single warp sphere production from Unleashed will be able to deal with that. Immediately into the nerve center and stasis chamber for Unleashed, so we could be seeing a stasis chamber go down somewhere. I know he hasn't actually locked anything down just yet. Of course, if Unleashed can, he wants to take an engagement next to this defensive tower. That'll give him a huge amount of DPS, as it does take down Scorpion tanks in, I believe, 2 or 3 shots. So that's definitely a lot of nice extra DPS that he needs. And he is actually going to be going for some disintegrators. He's moving out with only 2 squads, which is kind of unusual, as of course with MasterLeaf's MCV right there, he can quite easily, actually he is going for dozer blades as well, he can quite easily throw down shredder turrets, and actually he does have a Black Hand squad right on the front line to deal with those disintegrators without too much trouble. Unfortunately, it looks like one of Unleashed's units bugged out a little bit there. As you can see, he was kind of reverse moving into MasterLeaf's forces, so it was probably a slight bug in Sage. I'm assuming it's kind of a bug. I don't know exactly what you'd call it. Dozer Blades have indeed finished, and also Venoms are now out on the field, so MasterLeaf will be able to clean up these Disintegrators so easily in combination with the Black Hand. Of course, Dozer Blades, they either allow you to take reduced damage or no damage when you're crushing Disintegrators, because Disintegrators do explode upon being crushed. And there indeed goes the Mastermind. So Tier 3 is down as well as this Gravity Stabilizer. But wait a second, do we have any Storm Riders out, or is he going to be going for Devastator warships? Yeah, there's nothing building at the Gravity Stabilizer, so he hasn't started production just yet. One Venom is out for MasterLeaf. He is going to immediately for the Scout and the Harass. And unfortunately, one more tank will be getting locked down. Shouldn't be too big of a deal, a single Scorpion tank. Still no eco on either one of these fields, as we do have the Warp Chasm getting thrown down and the Hexapod being produced by Unleashed. And I mean, both players do have a fair amount of Tibs still left at their home fields. And again, with this 5-2 ratio, it's a nice mix of having a lot of income, but it does preserve this field for quite a while. So they've both got pretty solid income, as you can see. Lots of Tiberium coming in for both of them. Tripod's going to be moving in, but it's only one, which is a very curious attack force, because, oh, never mind, he's phasing it. That is why he only sent in one Tripod. He's looking for the crushes. Nice control here by MasterLeaf. Oh, he is going to be, no, he's not going to be losing. How did he? Wow, he actually did not lose a single Scorpion tank there. Might actually be losing a Beam Cannon. No, he controls just well enough. He's responding just within the next time. He may be losing a Beam Cannon there. Yeah, he loses one, and not a second one. Very close to losing a second one, but it didn't quite go down. And Unleashed might be able to get the crush on a couple more of these Scorpion tanks if they get too close. And oh, this Beam Cannon maybe... No, my gosh, MasterLeaf is just edging right past these units. Secret Tanks coming in, a nice counterattack from Unleashed. He's not going to be giving up too easily. Scorpion Tanks from MasterLeaf trying to make something happen, but it will not be. And MasterLeaf leaving a couple of units here. Very unfortunate for him. He is going to be losing a couple of Venoms. A second one does go down. A third one potentially will be eliminated. The Secret Tanks are just kind of parked here. The third Venom does go down, but those Secret Tanks, I'm not sure what they're doing. They were kind of harassing. They were attacking a little bit, and then they just stopped. And Unleashed, unfortunately, didn't do anything with them until just now. Well, actually, that might have been just an auto attack, as the Scorpion Tanks roll up, and they're going to be able to start focusing down those Secret Tanks without too much trouble. Again, MasterLeaf has to be a little bit wary of that defensive tower. He doesn't want to be engaging there. And a mass Beam Cannon is actually out for MasterLeaf. A couple of Scorpion Tanks on the front lines will be absorbing some of the shots, and the Venom is going to be used to reflect the shots onto that Hexapod. And as you can see, holy cow, the amount of DPS coming out, oh, the teleport away does save the Eradicator Hexapod, but the amount of DPS coming out of those Beam Cannons when they focus their shots like that, absolutely crazy. And so it does look like MasterLeaf is producing even more Beam Cannons. He really wants to make this Venom Beam Cannon combo work. He is going to be throwing down his first refinery, a little bit behind that of Unleashed, I do believe. But Unleashed throws down a second Gravity Stabilizer. Does he actually remember that he has the second one over here? I don't think he's used it all that much. Wait a second, where did the Devastator Warship... Oh, I thought it... Well, never mind. For a second, I thought it got taken out and I missed it. Turns out I've just barely caught it there, but it doesn't even matter. One Annihilator Tripod shows up. These Beam Cannons should be able to focus it down pretty darn quickly, as if they actually all decide to attack. At the same time, the Eradicator Hexapod is going to be deciding to move in here. Lots of Beam Cannons going to be getting, well, a couple of Beam Cannons going to be getting taken out here. Unfortunately for MasterLeaf, he's just kind of not doing anything about that Eradicator Hexapod or the Tripod here, as they both do still survive. And actually, no Husk means it probably got teleported back away. Yes, actually an Engineer ready to go, so he might be grabbing this Husk, which actually I think just got crushed. But a nice Mind Drop there from MasterLeaf is going to be pretty darn useful. And this Devastator Warship getting some nice shots off, but it does go down. It looks like another Devastator Warship, I do believe, just got annihilated. And the Corruptors are getting focused down by the Venoms, well, the Beam Cannons rather reflecting off of the Venom, able to take down some of those Corruptors. Another Devastator Warship is moving in. We'll have to see if Unleashed continues to pressure the front door of this expansion, or if he's going to be looking to do damage somewhere else. Holy cow, the Beam Cannon's doing so much damage. An insane amount of DPS. The Eradicator Hexapod so close to going down. The phase field does save it there, and it looks like the refinery does get sold off by MasterLeaf. However, he can still focus down these Corruptors, which is about the only thing that he can do. Sells off the air tower, unfortunately, there for MasterLeaf. He does go ahead and drop down the Secret Shrine. We'll have to see if he's actually going to be purchasing any upgrades with it, or if he's going to be using it for other purposes. As you can see, no upgrades being purchased. The Venoms, the Corruptors rather, are still here on the front line, and actually there goes the Disruption Tower to cloak a lot of these buildings and units, as there actually is no, there's no stealth detection just yet on the front line, but of course you can attack that Disruption Tower. The Corruptor will go down pretty soon here, and there's the teleport away. The Eradicator Hexapod is saved. Unleashed coming extremely close to actually losing there, and potentially a counterattack may be in order for MasterLeaf. It would have to be something pretty sneaky because he cannot divert very many forces away from the front line. When you've got an Eradicator Hexapod with Corruptors, with a Mastermind this close to your front door on your expansion, which is now really your primary mining base since your main base is pretty much... Oh my gosh, these beam cannons are actually sniping down these Storm Riders. That is absolutely something you do not see very often at all. We'll have to see if MasterLeaf can make it happen more. Yes, he does get that Storm Rider. Again, not something you see very often. I actually, who was it? I think it was in a tournament, and I think it was Green Zero might have actually been who went like mass beam cannon. I don't remember who it was against, but actually, speaking of Green Zero, I meant to mention this at the beginning of the game, but recently did launch a new website, Kane's Wrath Online, for some fantastic tournaments. Another Devastator warship getting sniped down, and when you're trading Devastator warships for Venoms, that's just good news for MasterLeaf. But again, Green Zero, you probably already know about his new site, but if you have not heard about it, it is doing a lot better than this Eradicator Hexapod, which is getting focused down extremely quickly. It goes down. Unleashed losing his big tanky unit, but will he be able to stop these beam cannons? Because we'll have to see with Venoms. Actually, I'm not sure if there's any Venoms left. There goes the Secret trying to get sold off. The Operations Center gets rebuilt, which means an air tower might be added on after this, because I'm not sure if MasterLeaf actually ever rebuilt that air tower. And actually, wait a second. Did it just... Yeah, just now got rebuilt right on the front lines, and Venoms are going to be produced. So MasterLeaf has an opportunity where there is no Eradicator Hexapod for another 30 seconds to a minute or so. And another tripod does go down, although there is going to be hallucinations on the forward, which means we could be seeing a one-click come down, although I'm not actually sure MasterLeaf... He never got Tier 3. He has yet to build Tier 3 or any one-clicks, which is really quite unusual. Normally you see a lot more one-clicks coming out from players. We do have a Devastator warship heading over from Unleashed. We'll have to see if he's going to be doing a whole lot with it, as that base is pretty much undefended, and this is the sort of thing that MasterLeaf kind of needs to do, because there's stuff here, like 2 Seeker tanks, but as long as you can smash down those 2 Seeker tanks and get something in that back door, whether it be a commando or potentially even some stealth tanks, because you don't necessarily need a lot of stealth tanks to go ahead and get that. But MasterLeaf, he's just not going for that Tier 3. Again, the blink away from that Eradicator Hexapod, he's going to be able to save that without too much trouble. But now Unleashed doesn't have a whole lot to hold off this army. At the back end of things, it looks like the refinery did go down. However, the Devastator warship, is he going to be starting to focus more important structures, going for any upgraded power plants that may be out on the field, which actually looks like, despite having that Operations Center, he hasn't actually purchased too many upgraded power plants. The Venoms may actually be forming a chain here. We'll have to see how MasterLeaf decides to proceed with this base. He does have that Annihilator tripod right on the front line, bouncing the shots off of the beam cannons, and no, the Eradicator Hexapod goes down again. MasterLeaf absolutely destroying the super epic, the super heavy, the epic unit from Unleashed. But Unleashed at the same time, he's got some stuff in the back of MasterLeaf's base, and actually this Venom is in position. We'll have to see. The bouncing shots do indeed eliminate that Eradicator, that Devastator warship, just like the Eradicator Hexapod, but at the same time, 2 production facilities did go down, which means that MasterLeaf may actually have 0 production facilities currently on the map. He's got a Hand of Nod, currently not building anything. He needs to get his war factory back up and running. He needs to get an air tower, potentially, once he loses these Venoms, if they indeed do go down. Unleashed, what can he actually do? He's expanded up to the north. The drone ship, he's actually got 2 drone ships out on the map, and actually, wait a second, he's actually got a 3rd drone ship out on the map. It does get spotted by the Venoms, and MasterLeaf will know that he's got 3 drone ships. He can see this one down here, and now he can see the one at the expansion as well. Unleashed is safe. He could have spent a lot more money on that army, but instead he decided to put it into those drone ships. MasterLeaf needs to go ahead and get more economy on this field, although he does currently have 4 harvesters. He's only got 1 refinery, which means they're either going to be long distance refining to that refinery, or they're going to be stacking up quite heavily at this single refinery. The drone ship actually does get deployed. What is Unleashed going to be doing with it? He is potentially going to be throwing down base defenses or just a portal for some engineers. He's got something queued right there. It could be another refinery. It is indeed another refinery, and this is absolutely perfect for Unleashed. Well, it's not perfect because he has almost no standing army, but he is going to be able to drop down base defenses to protect this base and hold MasterLeaf off for a little bit longer because he needs to buy time. He needs to buy time for his economy to get working up here for potentially more money to be coming in. A portal does get dropped down. MasterLeaf, will he actually be able to stop this? We'll have to see, as the first engineers are going to be coming out. MasterLeaf, what is he going to be doing about it? As the beam cannons firing up their shots. Oh my gosh, that drone ship was at full health not too long ago. It got focused down extremely quickly. Man, you don't see beam cannons very often. And then MasterLeaf is like, you know what's really good at killing everything? Beam cannons and venoms. I'm going to only build 2 units, but I'm going to be able to shoot anywhere out on the map. So potentially this is a strategy that maybe it's just working pretty well because because Unleashed isn't being super aggressive with a large force. We saw him being aggressive with smaller forces, with Seeker tanks, single Devastator warships, and of course the Eradicator Hexapod and Corruptors moving in. But actually we have a fully heroic beam cannon. I'm not sure what they focused down. Might actually need to go ahead and focus down the EMP control center, and he actually does just that. I'm not actually sure how many Venoms he's bouncing. Did he take out the MCV? Wait a second, the drone ship is gone. He might have taken out the drone ship, which would be a pretty big deal. I do not actually see it anywhere on the map, as we do have, it looks like a couple of, well, a fully heroic militant squad. Not something you see very often, so MasterLeaf getting lots of fully heroic units. He's also going for buggies, but flame tanks, 3 flame tanks currently on the way. They're currently hidden by a disruption tower, so I don't think that they have been spotted. Oh, wait a second, what's that? Oh, that was the fully heroic beam cannon, I do believe, that just went down. No, it's actually back here. Okay, good. Wait a second. How many fully heroic beam cannons does he have? He's got 2 at least. A third, which is elite and ready to go fully heroic relatively soon here. A veteran beam cannon. I guess when you start bouncing off of those, once you start bouncing off of those Venoms and getting those high-profile unit kills, and the flame tanks, currently 5 of them, I do believe, were all spotted. But they haven't actually been targeted down, although we do have SAM turrets just now going down, something that really should have happened a little while ago. Just militants in the north side there. 5 flame tanks, and I mean, at least one of them was spotted, or at least the Storm Riders were attacking it. I'm not exactly sure if Unleashed did indeed see it or not. He's currently on 2 refineries and about a dozen harvesters, and of course a dozen is actually 7 in this case, although he should have, no, he actually doesn't have any. He needs to go ahead and send 1 down here, because as you can see, he's got harvesters just stacking up like this guy. Just send him down there to that southern kind of main base expansion. Not really an expansion in any way, but his main base, he could go ahead and send it there, as he does have a lot of TIB, but never mind, as the entire main base is going to be getting taken out by a combination of beam cannons and flame tanks. At the same time, Unleashed has the potential of 12, and oh, focusing down the Venoms really quite well there, because without them, the beam cannons are not nearly as effective. And actually, Unleashed is going to be losing potentially his second spike there, as MasterLeaf has captured pretty much this entire lower section of the map. He does drop down a Hand of Nod right there, but Storm Riders, potentially 12 of them, they're actually going to be focusing down the flame tanks. As you can see, there's only a couple of flame tanks left. Another one does go down, and of course, these are just not only units that MasterLeaf had to pay for, but that is just adding up veterancy for these Storm Riders. And once Storm Riders go veteran, or heroic and elite rather, they are really quite powerful, and they're already fairly tanky units. There's going to be the Stasis Chamber locking down about 5 or 6 buggies there, and they're also going to be trying to focus some of the beam cannons. Might need to be going for the buggies before the beam cannons to make sure that he eliminates that anti-air DPS of MasterLeaf's army. And MasterLeaf, it's going to be hard for him to actually properly focus down those Storm Riders, because of course they're flying really quite quickly, and sometimes it's hard to right-click on the exact one that you want. This portal does still stand, unfortunately, for MasterLeaf, and Unleashed does actually grab at that TIB spike. He does now hold currently 3 of them, and MasterLeaf has not. Oh, actually, it looks like he's about to grab at that one. So they're going to be trading TIB spikes at almost the exact same time. One harvester is going to be long-distance harvesting that green Tiberium. MasterLeaf, he doesn't exactly have the strongest army. He never got tier 3. He's never had any mass, well, no, he did have mass Scorpion tanks, but he's never really had any mass tanky units. Never got the Redeemer, never had avatars, even stealth tanks, which would be great for sort of backdoor hit and runs at weak spots. He's never got them. And this portal's still here. MasterLeaf just has not eliminated it. I mean, you could even maybe potentially just bounce the beam cannons with the Venoms to take that out. mass buggy is going to be coming in here for MasterLeaf, but is it actually enough? And again, bikes mixed in with this army would be absolutely fantastic at dealing with these Storm Riders. At the very least, it would be forcing Unleashed to try to focus down the bikes versus the buggies. And then, of course, if Unleashed just A-moves, potentially he's going to be focusing down the buggies while bikes do take him out. And at this point, Unleashed could be up against Tibcore bikes, but instead, all he has to do is fight. Oh, one beam cannon, fully elite. Goes down. Unfortunate for MasterLeaf. He did lose that. He's losing so many buggies. These Storm Riders, I mean, in combination with the Stasis Chamber a little bit earlier, which locked down a part of the army and allowed Unleashed to finish off a large section of those buggies. And now Unleashed is just raining absolute terror down with these Venoms. We've seen no Tier 3, which also means no laser capacitors. So those Venoms, they're not really a good anti-air unit against the Storm Riders, at least not without laser capacitors. They are pretty good with laser capacitors. I think that Storm Riders still win in a 1v1 with Venoms, and actually Harvesters are going to be getting focused down. Some nice kills here from Unleashed. He might be able to get a second one. He doesn't quite notice it there. He got the kill on one of the Harvesters. This portal does still stand. It's just like this I almost said heroic building, but I mean hilarious building, which is a little bit silly here. More and more buggies getting focused down, and MasterLeaf, he cannot get a hold of the air. He still has not very many base defenses. Actually, he's currently got like 0 base defenses, throwing down the operations center, which, I mean, he's had to rebuild his tier 2 like 18 times in this game, but he's never quite gotten up to that tier 3. And imagine SAM turrets on this map against, you know, mass Storm Rider. Now imagine those SAM turrets had, of course, Tibcore upgrades. Now we're starting to talk about a defense that can actually hold off these Storm Riders and actually allow MasterLeaf to do more than just try to poke out with mass buggy, because that's all he's been able to do for the last couple of minutes. He's been sitting up in his base, not really able to do anything, while Unleashed took this entire field completely, almost completely unopposed. I don't want to say completely unopposed, because there was a little bit of damage done by MasterLeaf, but it's like, it's just been almost entirely free Tiberium with almost no opposition from MasterLeaf. And I mean, Unleashed is just like, hey, you know what, you kicked me out of the bottom right corner of the map, but guess what, I've got this top left corner of the map locked down. And it looks like he probably just got mass repairs on his Storm Riders. I think he, you know, Control-A'd them all to go home, got them repaired, and then sent them back on out. So he's going to be dealing with 12 or 16, as he does have four gravity stabilizers for a total of 16 Storm Riders potentially. But we'll have to see if MasterLeaf can deal with it. He's got one SAM site, and then a whole bunch of buggies, which at some point, you kind of just have to wonder, like, Storm Riders, lots of them. Maybe I should get something other than buggies, whether that be bikes just mixed in. Again, bikes, they're going to be getting eaten up extremely quickly, but once you mix them in with the buggies, which are a bit tankier, then it's either forcing Unleashed, wait a second, Unleashed actually grabbed that refinery. It's forcing Unleashed to either focus them down, or he's going to be taking a lot more damage from those bikes. And of course, if there's any clumping that happens, oh no, never mind, we do have stealth tanks, which potentially do better. I mean, stealth tanks fire a large volume, or a large volley, I should say, rather. So it's like, they're great against single targets, but bikes, because they have a little bit of a slower attack in that they fire less missiles at once, but of course they fire, I guess they have a higher rate of fire, but a slower overall attack. I don't know what the terminology is, but oh, that stealth tank goes down oh so quickly. At any rate, stealth tanks, if they get some nice shots off on these Storm Riders, they'll probably start eliminating them. But where is that? There's the tech lab. There's the upgrades that we probably should have seen minutes ago. But MasterLeaf, he's been doing a good job in the first half of this game. A little bit lackadaisical in the second half, and this is so nice for Unleashed. He's just like, you know what, MasterLeaf, thank you for the refinery. Gives me a spot to refine that Tiberium, and I mean, he took that over with an engineer, I'm assuming, unless he figured out another way to capture buildings. But I mean, that engineer absolutely paying for itself. One load of green Tiberium more than pays for that engineer. As Unleashed, once again, he's moving out. He's got like one unit. Does he actually have literally one attacking unit? He might literally have one attacking unit, being the Storm Riders. And MasterLeaf just is not dealing with it. Tibcore, finally done. Is he actually going to upgrade any of these power plants? That's something that, wait a second, he sold off the operations center, I think. He's absolutely strapped for cash. Yeah, Unleashed, or MasterLeaf, in the second half of this game, strapped for cash. He has been harvesting these two fields to absolute dry the last couple of minutes, and I mean, Unleashed is now in the same situation, but the difference is Unleashed has like 3 fields that he's pulling Tiberium from, and he's got a lot more harvesters, and then of course Ichor Seed as well, being tier 2 versus tier 3, which is what Tiberium Seed is. Even forced to sell off his MCB. He's got dual War Factory, which I don't know how long he'll actually be able to afford to produce off of this. 1 extra harvester sitting around for MasterLeaf. And I think MasterLeaf finally wised up and realized that this refinery is over here, unfortunately, just, you know, making money for Unleashed. And that was an extremely cost-effective investment for Unleashed to grab at that refinery. He had to keep that portal there for quite a long time, and I do think that was a bit of a mistake by MasterLeaf, but potentially Unleashed would have just ran an engineer down from there and then gotten the refinery anyway. So it may not have even mattered. May not have been actually that portal that produced the engineer. However, the Warp Chasm, I'm assuming he's going for an Eradicator Hexbot. It's kind of hard to tell if he's building one thing that's cheap, that's building really slowly because he's only got Tiberium spikes bringing in constant income, or if it's one expensive thing that's building completely solidly. But we do now have a solid bike-buggy composition. This is a nice mixture of bikes and buggies, which will help him deal with those Storm Riders. However, will it be enough to deal with the Eradicator Hexapod? The MCB did get sold off, and we do not have EMP coils. We also don't have laser capacitors, but as long as we've got Tib Core and bikes, we're in a better position than, you know, non-laser capacitors, just buggies. MasterLeaf is going to be heading in, and he does spot that Eradicator Hexapod, so I don't know. I don't know about either one of these players, because MasterLeaf does have more units, but they're very fragile units. Of course, beam cannons, we saw them do absolutely insane DPS, but again, once you get on top of the beam cannons with something like an Eradicator Hexapod, it's very hard to actually keep those beam cannons alive because they're just so flimsy. Then you've got Bike Buggy, which, you know, great in hit and run sort of stuff, great at killing harvesters and dealing with lots of unit compositions, but going directly up against Storm Rider Eradicator Hexapod, it's going to be a fair bit more difficult. Storm Riders are taking some nice pot shots from these, from the Tib Core bikes. As you can see, one goes down immediately, and that is just not something that MasterLeaf had the DPS to do earlier, but we'll have to see. Potentially, oh, this Eradicator Hexapod, is there a mastermind out on the field to teleport it back? I'm not entirely sure. It's getting focused down. It's at half HP. The stealth tanks are going to be coming in. They get shots off. Bike Buggy is swinging around from the south side, which means this Eradicator Hexapod goes down. MasterLeaf, with that beautiful surround, absolutely decimates that Eradicator Hexapod, and that was like the exact wrong engagement for Unleashed. He was just like, what if I move command my Eradicator Hexapod? I have no idea what else he was doing. He had to have been doing something else on the map. Like, Unleashed is just better than move commanding his Eradicator Hexapod. I don't know what he was doing around the map somewhere else, but that just lost him potentially this game. He does still have Storm Riders, but again, once you introduce Tib Core, once you introduce those bikes to kind of beef up with the buggies, a lot more Storm Riders are going to be going down. It's an entirely far, far, far less effective thing to just spam. And now suddenly, MasterLeaf is in an incredible position to take this game. The beam cannons are going to be guaranteeing sort of a long-term or a long-range damage. He doesn't even have to be this close to the base if he really doesn't want to be. The power plant's getting focused down. Shock troopers are nice, but buggies deal with that really quite well. Even the lightning spike isn't enough to stop this attack, and the drone platform, no chance of escape. I'm actually kind of curious if the beam cannons would focus the shock troopers, how quickly they would take them down, but Unleashed has been defeated. I really don't like the move command of that Eradicator Hexapod. When you've got so few units or so few types of units, you know, technically you've got like 17 units because 16 Storm Riders, but when you've got, you know, just one Eradicator moving out, you kind of have to keep the Storm Riders there to protect. So either you want to engage the Bike Buggy all at once with the Eradicator and the Storm Riders, or you have to try to pick it apart in a different way, because of course MasterLeaf, with his full focus there, where he can just, you know, pick away at the Eradicator Hexapod with the beam cannons, while the Bike Buggy is keeping the Storm Riders busy, just not an optimal engagement for Unleashed. And unfortunately Unleashed, he got to the point where he had rebuilt all of his infrastructure, and I'm guessing that's where a lot of his Tiberium was invested, and so he kind of got back up to that Eradicator Hexapod stage, and then he was like, oh, I still have to build units. Huh. Well, I already spent like $1 billion rebuilding infrastructure and getting 16 Storm Riders. So now I don't actually have very much money to produce support units for my Eradicator Hexapod. I guess I'll kind of YOLO swag it, go, and A move. And it wasn't even an A move. Unleashed actually a fair bit over the economy of MasterLeaf. I expected MasterLeaf to be a bit closer, but I guess losing his main refineries, well, I think he sold one off and then the other one got captured. But at any rate, we do have a total of about 40,000 credits of difference. But again, the first 8 minutes, it looks like, 8.5 minutes, they were almost neck and neck. They were just so close in economy. And then Unleashed was just like, yep, I'm going to go ahead and harvest more Tiberium. And then, of course, I'm guessing somewhere around here is when he expanded, shot up in Tiberium, and then somewhere around here is when that Tiberium field dried up. Other than that, a pretty fun game overall. And I mean, Unleashed and MasterLeaf both playing a pretty solid game. And MasterLeaf showing us something that people have definitely done in the past. Again, I think it was Green Zero. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it was. He was playing Nod against someone, and he ended up going for a mass beam cannon style. And I mean, other than that, I haven't seen too many players do that. Obviously, it is kind of something that when it works really well, but it can also crash very hard. And I particularly think against something like either Mass Scorpion Tank, where there's a lot of targets that you have to try to focus down, or like Mass Predator Tank, or even, you know, Seekers, Mass Seekers. If you go up against that sort of a composition, you're going to have a hard time trying to focus everything down. I'm not saying it couldn't work, it just probably would be a lot harder. At any rate, that will pretty much be doing it for this game. Thank you very much for watching, and this is Sybert signing out.